All right, today we are jumping straight into one of the most incredible stories ever told, the Great Flood. We're going right to the source, the book of Genesis, to really understand what the world was like just before, well, before everything changed.
You see, the story of the flood doesn't actually start with rain. It starts with this. A pretty heavy judgment, right? This one line really sets the stage. It paints a grim picture of humanity, and it's the reason for everything that's about to happen.
So, that leads us to the big question. Why? What was going on that was so bad that a global reset was seen as the only option? Let's dig in.
The story kicks off with a simple fact. The world's population was booming, but this growth led to some interesting new relationships between two groups the text calls the sons of God and the daughters of men. And their children, well, they were a whole new generation that really changed things.
And this is where it gets even more fascinating. The text says that during this time, a group known as the Nephilim were around. They're described as these mighty, famous figures from the old days. So you gotta ask, who or what were these guys?
Well, the original Hebrew word, Nephilim, is a bit of a puzzle. It's been translated as giants, or fallen ones, even mighty ones. People have debated this for centuries, right? Were they the children of angels? Were they just powerful human kings? We don't know for sure, but either way, you get this picture of a world with these huge, larger-than-life figures walking around.
All of this wickedness, this corruption, it leads to a huge emotional turning point in the story. The text describes God's reaction not just as anger, but as this deep personal sorrow. It says he was grieved in his heart. That's an incredibly powerful statement, and it's what triggers the decision to come.
And the result of that grief? It's absolute. The judgment comes down. It's time to hit the reset button on creation. The plan is to wipe out not just humanity, but every living thing on the face of the earth. A complete and total end to the world as they knew it.
But just when it seems like it's all over, the story takes a sharp turn. In the middle of all this corruption and chaos, the focus zooms in on a single point of hope, one man. Right after we hear about the plan for total destruction, we meet Noah. He's presented as the one exception to the rule. In a world that had completely lost its way, he was the one person who, as the text says, found grace.
And the text really goes out of its way to show you just how different Noah was. I mean, look at this contrast. The whole earth is corrupt, violent, everyone's gone off the rails. But Noah, he's described as a just man, someone who walked with God. It also says he was perfect in his generations, which could mean he was either morally upright or maybe of a pure, uncorrupted lineage. Whatever it meant, it made him stand out. Now, Noah wasn't completely on his own in this. The text introduces us to his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. These guys and their families are also a huge part of the survival plan.
Okay, so this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle before the flood itself, the blueprint for survival. And this wasn't just some vague suggestion to build a boat. Oh no, this was a massive, detailed, divine engineering project.
So God speaks to Noah directly and lays it all out. First, the terrifying news, the end of all flesh has come. But then, immediately after, comes the life-saving command, make yourself an ark.
And we're not talking about a rough sketch on the back of a napkin. The text gives super specific dimensions. It had to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. This was a vessel designed on an immense scale.
So what does that even mean? A cubit is about 18 inches. So 300 cubits, we're talking about a boat that was roughly 450 feet long. To put that into perspective, that is longer than an American football field. This thing was absolutely massive.
And the details just keep coming. It had to be built from something called gopherwood. We're still not 100% sure what that is. And then sealed up with pitch, inside and out, to make it waterproof. It needed multiple rooms. The original Hebrew calls them nests, which is kind of cool. A window, one door on the side, and 3 separate decks. Every single detail was planned out.
So, once this enormous vessel is built, the instructions on what to bring aboard are just as specific. It's basically a 4-step checklist. Get your family on board, bring 2 of every single living creature, make sure you've got a male and a female of each, and finally, stock up with enough food for everyone. It was the ultimate preservation plan.
So, after getting this monumental, seemingly impossible set of instructions, what does Noah do? He just does it. The text makes a point to say that he did everything exactly as he was told. And this incredible act of faith is the very last thing that happens before the flood begins.
And that's where we leave it for now. The stage is perfectly set. You have this incredible duality, a plan for absolute destruction running side by side with a meticulous plan for salvation. So we'll leave you with this to think about. When a single plan involves both wiping the slate clean and saving a select few, what does that tell you about the one who came up with it?